Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a major 4th century showdown that really shaped how we think about forgiveness in the West. It's a clash of ideas that asks a question we're still trying to answer. Where do you draw the line between purity and mercy? Okay, so this slide just lays it all out, right? On one side, you've got this hardline idea of absolute purity. That's the Novatians. They basically thought the church should be an exclusive club for the perfect. But then on the other side, you have this radical call for mercy. And that's coming from Ambrose, the Bishop of Milan, who argued that the church's real job was to be a hospital for sinners. Because, let's be real, everyone needs healing. So let's zoom in on our defender of mercy, Ambrose of Milan. And to really get why his argument packed such a punch, you gotta understand where this guy was coming from. Because his career path was, well, pretty wild. Check out this timeline. Before Ambrose was ever a bishop, he was a big-shot politician, the Roman governor of Milan. I mean, think about what that means. He was a legal expert, a guy who knew how to run things. So in 374, when the people of Milan basically demand he become their bishop, he's not just some holy man. He has the real-world political muscle of a governor. And that combo made him an incredibly powerful voice. And who was he up against? The Novatians. Their whole identity was built on being super strict. Their belief was pretty simple. If you commit a really serious sin after you've been baptized, the church can't do anything for you. Forgiveness was in God's hands, and you'd have to wait for the final judgment. To keep the community pure, sinners like that had to be kicked out. For good. Now, you might be thinking this is all just some dusty old theological argument, right? Well, not at all. This whole conflict was centered on a very real, very painful crisis that was tearing Christian communities apart. The whole thing was about a group of people called the Lapsi, which is just Latin for the fallen. So picture this. During these horrible Roman persecutions, thousands of Christians, staring down torture and execution, publicly reject their faith just to stay alive. Now, the persecutions are over, they're filled with regret, and they want to come back to the church. What do you do? So yeah, this was a huge crisis. Could you actually welcome these people back? Was what they did just unforgivable? This wasn't a small thing. This one question forced the church to figure out what it was really all about, and the answer was going to define it for centuries to come. So the Novatians, they drew a really hard line in the sand. For them, renouncing your faith was a major sin. And they said, look, the church is a human institution. It just doesn't have the authority to forgive something that big. Letting the fallen back in wasn't just a bad idea. It was dangerous. It was like knowingly letting a virus into a perfectly healthy community. It would threaten the purity of the whole body of saints. But Ambrose didn't just disagree. Oh no, he came back swinging with this incredible counterargument, using theology, compassion, and the very same scriptures his opponents were using to just completely take their position apart. See, instead of getting bogged down in legalistic rules, Ambrose did something genius. He went straight to the stories that everyone knew by heart, especially the parable of the Good Samaritan. You know the one. A guy's beaten, left for dead. The pure religious types, they just walk on by. But it's the total outsider, the Samaritan, who actually stops to help. And this is where he just flips the whole script. He turns the parable into this powerful metaphor. He says the wounded man on the side of the road, that's the sinner, that's the lapsi. The religious folks who just walk past, that's the Novatian mindset, putting purity ahead of people. And the inn where the man is taken to get better, Ambrose says that is what the church is supposed to be. Its job isn't to be a courtroom that passes judgment, but a hospital that heals the wounded. And this wasn't just a nice story. He had the theological receipts to back it up. Ambrose pointed directly to Scripture, to the part where Christ gives his followers the power to bind and loose. And for Ambrose, this was a direct order. Priests have been given the power to forgive sins right here on earth. This wasn't just a nice idea he had. He saw it as a divine command. So this chart just makes it crystal clear. The difference is night and day, right? For the Novatians, the church is a fortress. It's about preserving purity, and forgiveness for the big stuff is out of their hands. But for Ambrose, the church is a field hospital, divinely equipped with the tools of mercy. I mean, these aren't just slightly different takes. They are two totally opposite visions of what faith and community are even for. So, if the church is a hospital, then forgiveness can't just be some magic wand you wave. For Ambrose, it had to be a real, structured process. It had to be a communal journey of healing. And he laid out this whole public path back. It would start with a private confession to the bishop, sure, but then it went public. The sinner would pray and fast right there in front of everyone. But, and this is the amazing part, the community wasn't there to point fingers and shame them. No way. They were there to pray with them and for them. It was a shared process. Forgiveness wasn't just handed down from on high. It was witnessed and supported by the entire community, all leading up to that final moment of reconciliation. And this win for mercy over strictness, I mean, this wasn't just some forgotten historical event. It literally set the course for Western Christianity, embedding an idea at its very core that's still there today. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that Ambrose's victory cemented the church's identity as a place for second chances. His arguments literally built the foundation for what would become the sacrament of confession. He made sure that for the next 1,500 years and beyond, the church would be seen as a refuge for the broken, not some exclusive club for the perfect. And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? That fundamental tension between the fortress of purity and the hospital of mercy. It never really went away. We see echoes of it everywhere today, in our debates about the justice system, in how we handle public figures who mess up, in cancel culture. That core question they were fighting over, how do you balance justice with a second chance, is a debate we are still having right here, right now.